Evet, hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Bugünkü 5.
Hello,
oturumumuz
everybody.
benim
Welcome.
ekipçe etkinlik
This is
yapacağımız
our fifth session today, and we have two guests that we really miss.
PintiPanda ve Pqueen.
They are
Tuna
PintiPanda and
Akşen'in kurucu
Pqueen.
ortağı ve
Tuna
yönetici Pelin
is the
Baynazoğlu
co-founder of Akşen,
yayınların
and
içeriklerini çekmek hakkında
Pelin
konuşacaklar
Baynazoğlu.
bizimle.
They will be
Onları şimdi
talking
davet
about
ediyorum.
getting influencer attention.
Hoş geldin.
Hoş buldum.
Hello.
Hoş geldiniz.
Hoş bulduk.
Hi.
Merhabalar.
Hello, welcome.
Merhabalar.
Hello.
Ve Meriç hocam da katıldı.
And Meriç is also here.
Evet.
Peki o zaman hızlıca başlayalım mı?
Okay,
Vakit
let's start
kaybetmeden
this
başlayalım.
Evet.
without losing time.
İkiliden dolayısıyla hızlı başlayalım. Çok
Evet, size
Oh.
iyi yayınlar diliyorum. Ben arkada
I hope you enjoy the session.
Şimdi Tuna, Pelin biraz
Now,
heyecanlı.
Tuna and Pelin, I'm a bit excited because I'm talking to famous people for the first time, so please excuse me if I say something wrong.
Şimdi burada yaklaşık 1,5 gündür
Here, for
katılımcılar
about a day and a half, we had many professionals talking about the technical and design aspects, the development aspects of this business. Now, we were with Can Sungur and I talked about storytelling and marketing. But what I want to talk about with you for the indie developers to hear are some questions. If you allow me, I will ask you these questions one by one. Well, formulating these questions, I looked at real-life scenarios with my students and indie groups. I see that the main problem with indies is that getting a budget and investment, that's given, but many indie developers start their own projects with some resources. They go a certain mile, they make the product ready for publication, then they have the marketing issue. Now, this is a fact of life. Advertisement, as we know, the conventional advertisement channels are not very viable for games, and digital channels are not very affordable for indies which do not have any investments. It's not affordable, so many people have to try to do something with their own resources. Then we have the PR. We sometimes try to help them on that side, but the most important channels are the influencers. And I see that many indies are trying to reach influencers. They do this at different stages of their projects. Sometimes they see, help me out with this, and sometimes they do this more professionally, but the main marketing asset is for Turkish indies is the influencers, particularly because of their budget. And if Tuna, you allow me, I will start with Pelin. Pelin, I'm young because I'm working with a young team. Meriç, you are always young. And I just started developing my game, and at which stage should I contact you? Because I know that there are many people asking you, I have an idea for a game, where should I start? Are you the right person to ask this question? Well, if you're still in the development process, you shouldn't come to me. They should go to Can Sungur, because I am the player. I am just a person who likes to play games. And when the game is completed, they can come to me saying that I had this game. Otherwise, I cannot help them out. There were some people who tried to consult me with some ideas, such as I have this idea, should I have this in this game? Maybe for their ideas, they can ask some questions. I can give some examples from the games I like to play, but I cannot give them some professional help. So the best thing to do is to come to me after the game is published. They don't have to send me the code. They can just tell me that they published this game and ask me to support, because I play everything. I play Ertuğrul Gazi and Erzurum and Cats and Other Lives. We all played them. I all played them. And when they finish the game, they can just drop me a message saying that they have this game. But if they're looking for an investor, if they think I can contact someone, they can contact me also. But beyond that, the things that I can do are limited.
Peki o zaman şimdi Tuna.
Okay, then Tuna.
Büyük ihtimal sen de Pelin'le aslında şeyde hemfikirsin. Yani geliştirme.
I believe you agree with Pelin. During the development stage,
üzerine konuşmak haricinde
you cannot offer any professional help except for sharing your own experience. So when I complete my game, how should I attract your attention? The main channel would be sending an email. All influencers who are willing to support indie developers check their emails and give feedback. Sometimes there may be too many emails and they can get a delayed response, but developers should not think that they didn't get any feedback for their email. You can imagine that influencers get hundreds of messages. Sometimes it takes me 2 days, 3 days, or more days to see and reply to a message. After you complete the game, and Pelin is right in saying that many people come to us to consult, but I have a different characteristic as a gamer, and Pelin also has a different characteristic as a player. There are other people who can be very critical. So to find a common denominator among all these people, you should ask everyone, or you should adjust your product according to the feedback you get from the influencers and players. And at this stage, the influencers may not have a big impact, but if you have a game that is ready, my expectation would be you can come to me, Tuna or Panda. I have this game. It is on Steam page or this page. If the game is not published, you can send us a playable demo or a video of gameplay, or because the pictures would not be enough. Because if you reach us in the very beginning of a project, you cannot get any results with us. If you want to get feedback about the game, you should have a playable version of the game or a teaser video to show how the game is played so that people can give you feedback. Because you can ask 1,040 influencers and cannot get feedback, but one influencer can play your game and upload it on YouTube, and the people who watch it can enter comments because the developers read those comments. The best thing is to send a playable demo or a video of the gameplay or the actual access link, because sometimes they tell us the game, but when we first log in to the game, enter the game, we can understand what we can see in that first 30 minutes. But the audience has to hear more about this, the mechanics, the similarities to other games, the differences from other games. So you should make a summary. You should give a summary of these questions to the influencer. According to that summary, we can create our own video, then the players can respond. And Pelin, I have one question. This is an approach that I see very often. I develop a mobile casual game or mobile RPG game. Should I reach all influencers, or there are 69 different genres of game and they are available on different platforms? So should I choose influencers according to the type of my game or type of my platform? I think it makes sense to choose your influencer according to your game, because every gamer has a different style. For example, there is a Souls-like gamer. Maybe they play only Souls games. Maybe they don't want to play a game that is based on a narrative. That doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, you're trying to reach people who are willing to buy this game. And to do that, you need to reach the audience who are closer to this genre of game. I think finding that is very important. Maybe the guy who plays Souls Ark all the time cannot make an advertisement for a story game. And you can also not come to me and make an advertisement for Souls Dark, because maybe I will have an episode during when I play your game, because I will be very annoyed. I will say something wrong. Yes, she's quite right. So you cannot reach the right audience, because the people in my chat box are interested in story-based games. Of course, we play all kinds of games, but you need to know where the buyers are, how you can attract them, through whom you can reach and influence the buyers. If you're developing mobile games on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, and other platforms, there are people who produce mobile content, you can reach them. If you develop a Souls-like game, you can reach Turgut Uç or Mert Günhan or someone else who is playing Souls games. If you have a game that is based on a story or an atmosphere, you need to reach Tuna, PintiPanda, but you need to find the right person. You cannot just say, I can send this to everyone and I will look at who will respond. This is not good for you, because you will not be able to discover where you lie, which audience is closer to you, which audience you're targeting, because we all exist with our audience as YouTubers and influencers. You wouldn't know where you lie, and you wouldn't know which audience you target. Actually, I already knew what you were going to say in response to this question, because as a marketer, I would say the same thing. There are some indie developers listening to us. The mistakes Pelin mentioned are made by giants. We have seen this. The three of us, mobile, battle play. I have this game. Panda, will you play this? We have this. So because I know you, people ask me. They say this game, they have this new game, and I tell them this is not suitable for Tuna and Pelin. So sometimes with the excitement of this marketing effort, sometimes they don't look at this from the right perspective. They try to see the game as a product, and they target the right people, wrong people. And now maybe the indie developers can choose the influencers to contact according to the platforms that they use and the genre that they work in. And Tuna said, sometimes I can respond to emails after a long time. And of course, everyone can give you some numbers, but if an influencer will not be interested in that genre, instead of spending time, wasting your time with that, I think consolidating your relationship with an influencer who is interested in that area would be more efficient. So they can send you the games that you are interested.
Peki şimdi Tuna biraz da son günlerin
Now, Tuna,
rüzgarıyla birlikte ama o tartışmaya hiç girmeden
without going into the details of that discussion, because there were some people that I respect who declare their opinions and we may agree or not. But an indie group in Turkey, when developing their games, should they rely on local geographical items to for marketing, or would that be a mistake?
Tüm oyunun içeriğini.
Well,
Ya bunu en basit tabirle zaten popüler, hani artık çok popüler bir cümle.
I think this is a popular thing to say.
Tanım var ya.
There is an abuse of flag and location. You can identify this very easily. You can understand if someone is trying to make money by exploiting the flag and the location. And the players are not, and gamers are not stupid. They can see this very easily, but this does not necessarily mean that if I have a flag or a mosque, there be a reaction? No, but what stands out should be your game, not the flag or not the book or not the religious items. So using some cultural Turkish items is something that can be done. There are other platforms that do this. And it doesn't, look bad, but if it starts to overshadow your game, that would be bad. I wouldn't recommend that. Well, when I play it, do I find this weird? No, because I spent most of my life in villages and on the mountains, so seeing a mosque, seeing someone pray is not weird for me. And I see these items in the games and I like it. But influencers have different characters. Players have different characters. The audiences of the influencers are different. So of course you can use them. You must use them, but they must never overshadow the game. Otherwise, it will backfire and you will have a negative feedback that you cannot give an answer to. Recently, there was a stressful situation going on, so I will not delve on that, but I will ask Pelin. Now, building on what Tuna said, I want to ask this question to both of you actually. Using local geographical concepts or some religious motifs, can you embed this into a global narrative? Because in Street Fighter, they used some items of some nations. It was the first of its kind in that. We also have The Witcher. It is based on a specific territory, it has a specific culture and belief system, and it has been successful. But I believe I want to know about your personal opinion. If a game has properly embedded the local aspects, could it be successful globally? Well, it's difficult. It depends on how they do that. For example, it can be a very simple example, but it had just happened recently. Erzurum, what they did, they have mosques and Turkish flags in the game, but very interestingly, I never felt like, well, they have this flag, so they are trying to exploit our feelings. I just saw the flag and I passed. But if you want to do something global, but at least you need to have a very good idea. You need to have an original idea, and you should embed this very naturally, very organically into your original idea so that it doesn't affect your whole story. So you can go global. Yesterday, I watched Can Sungur's speech presentation. He said, develop games in English. But I say the opposite. Please develop games in Turkish in addition to English. Because you need to add Turkish language options. If you cannot do that, you can reach us and our team will help you translate your game. And you can publish your game in a global language and in Turkish. This is just something I wanted to highlight. Because if we have any game developers here, I can give them a guarantee. Add Turkish language support and I will always play your game. Because throughout the years, we could have made a significant progress in this area, but we failed to do that. Of course, everyone has to do this. If you're a game developer, you have no chance. Of course, you need to speak English. But I want to see Turkish game developers develop games with Turkish language support so that they can market it around the world and in Turkey. It's not a dream to have something like Stardew Valley. Please go ahead. I will repeat what you said actually. Panda and you and Can Sungur, I always tell the indie developers to have localization, translation, voiceover artists. I try to give them mentoring, and I know that you do that. Maybe we should communicate that in a better way. But if there are some people who never heard about this, maybe you can declare this. For example, you can invite me for this. If you need voiceover artists, I don't have the professional equipment, but I will try to help you as far as possible. Many people think that people think that we would ask money to do that. We never do that. You can just come to us with a good idea and ask for our support, and if we can, we will support you. Because I see this like this. I can play your game, I can do what I can. And some people may be angry at me, but I'm trying to be constructive. Because for many years we have ignored the Turkish gaming industry, and I think that maybe from the money they make with this, they can produce something better. So I can get your game and play it, and I will try to support you in many ways, such as translation or voiceover. And you can reach me at any time, by any means to me to do that, because I really want to do this. And I want to see the Turkish industry grow. Then on behalf of indie developers, I would like to thank you. You're welcome. Before asking Tuna the same question, I would like to remind this for indies we have here, the support of influencers, the support of the industry. We may not be as effective as the influencers, but on our side, we are trying to do something at Gaming Istanbul. We try to support indies. We told them to bring their games and demonstrated to a global audience. But I have a recommendation. Before
Elinizin
you
altındaki
make a business plan,
lüks gücü kullanmayın. Yani
do
indie
not
ekiplere
use this luxury option. If your project is not fully ready,
ve tanıtım desteği isteyeyim. Tuna'dan
you cannot ask for support from Pelin or Tuna, or you cannot come to Gaming Istanbul. You should have your business plan ready. This is my recommendation to indies, because some skilled groups act in an unplanned way. And we
yayıncı hani
have
bir
many
şekilde
influencers who have a culture of gaming try to support indie developers, and John is also trying to do that. John is a part of this team actually, but sometimes the teams are not ready to leverage that power. So when they get a no answer, they are sad. So you should be ready to leverage that option. Now, Tuna, I would like to continue with you in a different way. I will ask the question in a different way. One of the first jobs I did in the industry was advertisement production. There was a studio, and the owner of the studio had a good vision. It was very early actually. It was about 1992 or 93. Back then, 3D animation and game developing should be our focus. That guy thought about that, and he invited some experts who had a broad experience, and he told them to develop games. I was a part of that game, and that team made a good spin-off. They produced an HTML game for Coca-Cola. There was a guy in that team. He said, because we always had these ideas such as we should have Ottoman Janissaries with muscles. You should have developed that game. We should have a messenger who goes to places. We should have Ottoman sword fight. But that guy said, can you sell frozen aubergine dish to Americans? No, it's difficult because I cannot say the Turkish, because they don't have the appreciation, because they don't know it, they don't have the will to learn it, they don't see it's something that can be marketed. So you shouldn't have this as a bad example, because they don't sell frozen red peppers in the market because it doesn't look very appealing when it's frozen. So we thought Americans would feel that, but I would buy that game actually.
Bu konuşmadan şey çıkıyormuş değil mi? Patlıcan musakkayla stamina arttıran kaslı yeniçeri oyunu.
Ben lütfen şu an öyle bir indie geliştirici arkadaşım ya ekip varsa ben rica ediyorum bu oyunu.
Please develop such a game if there is any indie developer in this group such a plan is present. So put aside the politics now, and the politics is to be discussed little at a minimum level among the friends, but at the global level. Think of a Bannerlord, for example. If it worked only on local motifs, would it be that successful? No. Actually, the success of Bannerlord actually depends on the tailor team. Actually, when we talk about development plans, business plans, they actually developed all these with a global mindset. Therefore, they achieved very well. And the launch of the second game was also very successful. Actually, they acted in the correct direction, and therefore they thought globally and find their way. At the global scale, actually, they were very successful. But if they were only dependent on local motives, they would be only successful within the boundaries of Turkey. As for the local motives, let's not talk about Erzurum example. A horror game in Göbekli Tepe. So something comes to your mind, and if you are successful, no one will say that, oh, it's Göbekli Tepe or oh, it's Turkish. You, you may create some curiosity at the global scale. And for example, we developed a game called Gallipoli the for the independence war of Turkish people. The local motifs here will not create any misunderstanding or misuse of them because it was a universally known war, and the Gallipoli was well known is well known over the world, and the soldiers uh, who died there affected the whole world. For example, Age of Empires also included Ottoman war strategies or accessories. So they are really appreciated globally, and how you use it is important as well as what you use. Erzurum project was developed by a single person, and its vision was narrow, and for me it was successful for its scope, and actually it couldn't go further because at the very beginning it was the choice of the developer, but with a good planning and with good preference, the a globally accepted asset can be based on, and its feature and its sustainability can be ensured with correct elements. And in the future, we may come across with them, but local motifs shall not be in the foreground. They shall just only enrich the game. The content generation of the game must be developed with a global mindset. Iskender, a traditional Turkish meal, Turkish food, is really delicious, and it is delicious with its butter. It's local, but you can uh, narrate it with a global mindset so that it may be an appetizer for everyone.
Tekrar Pelin'e dönmeden önce Pelin'in söylediği bir
Before
şey
turning to
dikkat
Pelin,
çekti.
I want to ask you something. I'm sure that you agree, but the Turkish developer teams shall not bypass Turkish. Actually, I know this from my personal experience. In our agency, there are different global brands that we work with, and they are really successful
Burada.
and popular
Oyunların Türkçe sesi
games
geldiği anda ne kadar
where when the
tempo bir de
Turkish support
size
is provided
inanılmaz
for
fazla
those
yani
games,
böyle devir
there's
daim
a huge difference
herhangi bir
in
şey
terms of
söylemiyorsunuz.
number of
Derken sözde bir anda
players.
yani herkes dinliyor.
And
Burada yoktur. Bir
in
de bir
the
pazarlama hem
lectures, I generally
pazarlaması
say that there is not a
icra
target
yani.
audience like
Ben görsel
everyone,
tasarımı
and the
anlatırken
marketers make a
kendi
mistake
konseptlerini
considering
yüksek
everyone
sesle
as himself or
tasarlayıp çok
herself.
fazla yansıtıyorlar.
These two wrongs shall
İkincisi
be
onu yapmaya
corrected.
çalışıyor. İnanılmaz fazla.
Actually,
Bana kalırsa
we
lokal
shouldn't
pazarda ciddi
forget
bir
that
pay var burada. Bir de
some
şey de var.
or most of the
Yani
players
bir
in
konu dışı bırakacağım her ne kadar
Anatolia or
tartışılır.
in
Ama
other regions of
tüm
the
tekniklere
world
yani herkes
play
destek
those
verirken
games without having good
Türk
knowledge of
ekibinin yarattığı
English.
Türk
Therefore,
göbekleri
a
olmaması
game
beni
created by
birazcık
a
mutlu
Turkish
ediyor oyuna.
team
Açık
shall be
söylüyorum.
supported
Ama
with
burada
Turkish
şöyle de bir
language,
sıkıntı
or
var.
else I
Sadece
am
Turkish
really
değil. Bana
demotivated.
kalırsa
But
Türkçe
not
oynayan
only
en az
Turkish, but
zaten
at
bizim
least
lisanımızı düşünmeli.
English,
Hatta yani sadece
Spanish,
pazarlamasından
Turkish
başka
languages must be
birlikte
entered,
ama
and
tabii
even
bunu Türk ekibinin
Asian languages must also be
globalize
involved.
etmedeki ana
Even
görüşüm
if
burada bu.
it's
Tek
addressing to the
yetenek
global or the
dolayısıyla
local, a Turkish
bizde
language support must
birkaç
be
entrikamız daha var
added.
ama
We have a few more minutes. I want to add something. As said by you and Pelin, there are really important clues for the developers. Actually, ignoring your domestic market doesn't give you success at the global scale. Of course, Some games are sold very well at the global scale, but their success in Turkey is less, or they have not become popular. Some universal games. When you look at the world, billion dollars of uh, studios like CD
Ya
Bank,
da Valheim'de
even they
İsveçli bir indicinin yaptığı oyunda
provide
sürekli
Turkish language
içinde
support,
Türkçe bir
or
desteği varsa
Valheim, for
bir fark var.
example,
Hani
such a
bizim
worldwide known
ülkemizin
game, support
oyundaki
Turkish
Türkçe desteği
language,
onların
and
daha da fazlaymış.
think of
Çünkü
this,
şu
and
insanlar
if
hem
the
seviyorlar,
any game which
karşılıklı
is
bu
developed by the
saygıdan
Turkish
almıyorlarsa
developers within
sen bak
Turkey
iyice yaptın.
do not support
Ha,
Turkish. This
doğru,
is
eyvallah.
a deficient point, and this
Ya
is
iyi
a
gelişmişler
bottleneck.
seçim süreci.
Therefore,
Çıkartmanız lazım çünkü oyuncu
I
size
want
böyle
to
tepki
say
verecek.
that in the
Hani bunu
developers,
bildiğiniz bir şey değil.
the
Net.
player
Yani
will
garanti alıyorsunuz.
react
Kimse
it
aman zaten bana
surely,
İngilizce var Türkçe olmasın da
because
olur mu
no
diye bir
one
şey
will
yok.
say
Dolayısıyla
that I already
kesinlikle
know
global
English.
çapa
I do not
harika
need
olması gereken
Turkish.
bir şey ama
Is
eğer
necessary.
kullandığınız Türkçe
Of
dil
course,
desteğinizle
global
yani
mindset is
desteğiniz aslında hala
indispensable,
kusursuz o
but
yüzden fark var.
localization, local motives,
Şimdi
and Turkish
Pelin,
language are
yine
a
izin
must.
verirseniz bu soruyu önce sana sonra
Pelin,
Tuna'ya iki
I want to
soru
ask
yönelteceğim.
this
Sonra da
question
onlar için
again
ortak
to
konuşacağız.
you
Yani
and
Tuna'nın
then
söz
to
vermek
Tuna,
istiyorum çünkü size soruları
and
sormak
then I will address
ben iki
the
aşamalı bir soru
questions in
önce
the
şöyle söyleyeyim.
chat box to you.
Şimdi oyunum hazır.
I have a play, let's
Sana da
say.
veriyorum Pelin.
I
Sen de
sent it to you
değerlendirirsin.
and you're interested.
Canlı yayında oynadın.
And
Gördün
you
beğenmedin.
played it live
İkincisi
and you liked the game.
hatta hadi tırnak içinde
And
söylüyorum.
let's say that
Oldukça da ciddi
the
sert
game
eleştirdin.
is
Ve
criticized by
yorumcularımızdan
you
da duruşun
as an
puanlansa
indie
hareketlilik
developer.
ne olmalı?
What
Bir
should
bunu
my status and action
yine
plan
yapmamızı
be for the
istiyorsan
future?
ben şimdi
And
hani
secondly,
boomer kuşağına üye olduğum için
I'm a
neredeyse
member
bir
of
turda
boomer
kaçırdım.
generation,
Şimdi biz
by the
Ömer'le
way.
oyunları
In the past,
hep şey diye değerlendirdik. İşte grafik
we
kalitesi,
used to
müzik,
evaluate the
ses
games in
efektleri,
terms of graphic
oynanabilirliği vesaire
quality,
gibi.
music, sound effects,
Bugünün
etc.
şartlarında siz
But
bir
under
oyunu
today's
hangi
conditions,
kriterlerle
what
daha
are
iyi
your
yapıyorsunuz? Şey gerçekçi
criteria
mi
to
yani? Mesela
evaluate a
Stardew
game?
değil de
I mean,
Cyberpunk'ın
Starter
işte
Value or
sonrasında takılan çok
Cyberpunk,
çok
their
iyi kriterlere
sales
mi
figures are
vermek
almost the
artık var
same.
mıydınız?
Is
Yoksa
it
işte
viable
bir ara
to
Pelin
still
konuştuğumuz gibi
evaluate
hatırla
these
varsa
games
hani
with the same
Level
criteria,
Value
or
sana
the
zaman paslantılarını
parameters are
vermekten
different for
çıkıyordu.
the
Ne oldu?
popular
Söz
games
veriyorum.
nowadays?
Önce Pelin sonra Tuna'ya
Now the
rica
floor
edeceğim.
is yours, Pelin,
Şimdi ilkine geleyim.
for your
Cyber
first question.
yani şimdi eleştirdiysem eğer ki
If
eleştirdiysem
I
ve hani
criticize a
öyle de
game,
öyle deme yani kendisinin herhangi bir
I,
şekilde şahsına
if I say I
bakmaksızın
don't like
ve
it, I don't like the
şahsına
game, and if I
vuracak
do not
yönden
use any insulting words to the
kesinlikle
developer,
ondan bir şekilde bu konuda
then
çıkarım yapmasını beklerim yani
the
eleştirdikten sonra.
player
Yani mesela
must deduce
oturup bir şey
something.
yapıyorsun mesela
Excuse me, the developer
eleştirdiğin bir şey var.
must deduce
Senin ona
something
hakaret
from my
ederken hor
sayings.
görmeye çalışıyorsun.
So
Ya da işte
there is a
sen
criticism, and
diyorsun ki
depending
ya
on
bu
those
kötüyse
criticism, that those
kötüyse
games must
muhabbeti
be
o zaman
improved.
yani şöyle söyleyeyim
Therefore, instead of
bir yandan daha
counter-attack,
fazla görüşüne saygı cevap
the
vermek
developer
gerekirse
must
ki bu her konuda bizler için geçerli
improve
bu
the
arada.
game,
Yani
because
dışarıdan
I really
karşındakinin
spent time there playing
seviyesi
that game,
farklı olabilir. Buna
and
bakıyoruz. Hani ben
actually during
aslında elimden geldiğince hani
I
oyunun
try to do my best
geçerli
during my live
değerlendirmelerini
broadcast.
yapıyorum.
Actually, I try not to criticize that bad, especially the indie studios, because I know that there is a great effort behind this, and I know that the process is really
O yüzden
challenging.
yabancı bir
Therefore, actually,
yani
even when a foreign indie game
tabii ki
is brought to me,
fikirlerini
and
almaya
if I do not
çalışırım.
like it, I send an email to them, and I tell about the things I like and things I didn't like. And in the end, I do not. In the end, the developers must not see these critics as an attack, but these are just the criticisms, and I spend time and I provide feedback as much as I can. And I do not want to give examples for this because for case I have been seeing one name on my screen. I do not want to mention about it.
Çok özür dileyerek böyle şeylere
Pelin, to interrupt you,
hocalık yaparak çok bir dakika araya girmek
I
istiyorum.
want to say something important about this. Recently, there is a discussion, but as a mass, we did something. There is a product, there's a game, it's sent to you, and you criticize them in your style. We watch it or not, it's our option.
Yani şöyle kiminiz şövalye gibi onu korumak isteyebilirsiniz. Bu
Some
şahsi bir duruştur.
may defend it,
Vermek isteyebilirsiniz. Bu da
or
şahsi bir
some
duruştur.
may
Size oyunu gönderecek
do not
kadar
like
yeter.
the
Size
game or
coğrafyasınızı
criticize the
paylaşmakta
game badly,
sonucu da
and
algıda
your
kabul etmek
style
yeterli bir
shall
göreve
be
sahip.
respected
Ama
because the developer sends
profesyonelliğe sizin
the game to
sunduğunuz
you,
onun arkasında
because
aynı zamanda
he or she
insanların
accepts your
insanlara
style in
lanse edilen
advance.
çok
And
bambaşka,
what
çok
is
yüksek
not
standartlarda
professional is
yorum
to
yapmaktır.
provide
Ve
feedback or
yani
provide
burada
comments
işte o
in
zaman hani
bad
iletişimin,
manners,
saygının
and
kuralları işte
respect
bu
is
şekilde
ruined
kasıtlı
there,
işlemlerle
or the
karşısına
rules of
geçmek
communication are
uzatabilir
ruined
ve
there.
belirli
So
çok devam ediyor.
uh, that's all from me. You can continue, Pelin. Yes, a game developer, a publisher, a mother, a parent, a father. I do not consider these positions, these titles in the society. People may like it or people may not like it. My favorite meal is soup, for example, but my boyfriend doesn't like soup, so our tastes are different, our styles are different, so we cannot insult each other for this. It is a matter of taste. So there is a product in the end of the day. Even when you provide water to people, it will be criticized in good or in a bad way. You will be criticized in the end. Even your even your product is the best one, it will be criticized. For most people, God of War, for example, the last game of God of War is really good, but a friend of mine doesn't like it at all. Actually, and there are really great criticisms to some games. Yes, if I if I use some bad words, please do not respond in the same manner
Sana ayıp
during the live
olmayacaksa
broadcast.
ikinci soruyu da Tuna'dan cevabını rica edelim. Neden?
And can we receive the answer from Tuna for the second question?
Tuna, geldi oyun.
Tuna, you have the game.
Geldi oyun ne yapalım? Benim zamanıma
What can
yayınları
we do?
işte oynanabilir diye
Graphic
9.9 yapmıştım. Şimdi
810,
onu da 9.7 yaptım diyeyim mi? Yoksa burada
playability
biraz daha
9.
başka mı
What
değerlendirelim?
are the
Ben şey
criteria to evaluate the
doğrudan da
games now?
feedback'i vereyim abi. Zaten videoları da
Actually, let me give
çekiyoruz.
some
Mesela
feedback
en
about
son
the
işte
players.
Ronin'i ya da
For
Pavlov'u izlediğimde
example,
şunu
Pavno
demiştim.
today
Chat'e
or
yazıyordum.
Reni
Bazen
was
ben yapamıyorum.
examined
Tutamıyorum.
by me. Sometimes we
Oyunu
cannot
deniyorum.
keep them in
İşte
mind.
10 kere,
I asked
15
about
kere,
the price of
12
it.
kere izledim
Yes,
yani.
15 lira, for
Hepsine de
example.
baktım.
And I
Ben
consider
daha az
the
izledim.
joy I felt
Belki
during
aralarda
those
olabilir
40
keyfi. Aldığım
minutes.
keyif vermediğim
And
keyfi.
actually,
Dediğim
I
gibi işte
evaluate the joy
ekranlarda
and the
oynamak
price of the
oyun
game.
zevkini
I
de tabii
try
ki
to set a correlation
yaklaştırıyor.
between them.
Seyirciye
Actually,
yaklaştırıyor.
does it worth paying that money to the joy, to the good time I spent? Yes, that's the point that I use while evaluating a game, and that's valid for the global scale. And purchasing a game is a luxury thing nowadays, and those price performance relation is the first priority.
Mesela
Therefore, um, If you play both Stardew Valley and Cyberpunk,
hala oynuyorum. Yine
uh,
olsa yani
nine
geçen
of
de olsa
them,
yine oynayacağım.
uh,
Cyberpunk'a
most of
baktım.
the people
Hatta
would
bugün
say Stardew
geldiğimiz şeyde
Valley,
bitirdim şu anda.
and it is
Yani bilmiyorum işte
preferred much by
verdiğiniz
people.
paranın
And
karşılığı nedir?
actually, it is the
Verilen emeğe bakışınız da etkiliyor.
performance
Ben
of the game, and
telefon
it
aldım.
affects
Tabii ki
your
karşılığı var.
perspective for the
Ama
game. Of
belli
course,
kaliteli bir
graphics,
bilgisayarı
atmosphere, sound,
etkisi
these
var.
are also
O da
important.
ücretsiz parçalar
I
var.
also take them into
Zaten
evaluation,
250 liramı
and
verdim. İşti yani sonuçta bir
sometimes
oyunu
I
yapmak.
actually, as a
Şu anda o
publisher,
Cyberpunk'ta
do purchase some
dolayısıyla
other games
sabrım
at
birinci
higher prices. However, sometimes I do not like
kadar
them.
para harcadım.
But
Indieway'i
most
satmışlar.
people want to get
Satmışlar.
the maximum
Kar ettiğini
maximum joy, maximum benefit actually from
sağlayan
the
fazla
game
para
they
harcamışlar.
spend money on.
Call of Duty belli
And
şartlarda çok fazla
if you
cazip
can
çalışmalar
spend
yapmıyorlar.
hours with a game,
Bunlar
then it's
karşılıklı
worth your
veriyorlar.
money. It's worth your
Diğer
money.
tarafta işte
Like Spawn of the Dawn
hı hı,
or
evet
yes, Spawn of the
yani
Dawn is a very
o
original idea,
verilen
by the way. Therefore, the
20 liraysa
friends
karşılığında bunu
who
insanlar
pay money for those games want to
birinci
take delight in it.
birinci
And
kriter
performance and price evaluation is the first criteria, and the graphics, atmosphere,
tek
sound
tek
effects,
yapmayı
etc. will come
isterim.
next.
Ki
Will come after
epeyce yaptım
this.
bu arada.
And the indie developers in Turkey also know this,
15
and
bin
they do the
civarında
pricing accordingly.
karşımızdaki yani karşılarındaki oyuncu kitlesi
And
kendileri
because
de dahil,
the
bizim de dahil
target audience
ekonomik anlamda zor durumdalar. Dolayısıyla o tekrar
are
para
really
kazanabilme
implied in
niyetiyle
economic terms because the value, the performance of the game is the first criteria. Thank you very much, Sardar. Do we have
Evet,
time to
hızlıca
receive one or two questions? Yes. I also want extra more
tamam,
minutes for the closure.
o, tamam. İlk soruyu hemen söyleyeyim. İletişime geçmek
First
için hangi
question.
mail adreslerimizi kullanmalıyız?
Shall we
Zaten
use the
ekran
mail
başında
addresses
görüyorsunuz.
in bio
Görünmüyorsa
to
da
establish communication?
Pelin'e
Pelin@kalkgel.team. That's my
okey.
email address.
ferahladım bu aralar.
İkinci sorumuz,
Second
hep dinleyiciler
question
gelmiş. Beta
from
testleri
Zeynep.
de bu product kapsamında ele alabilir miyiz? Ben
Beta
en
testing
güvenilir
can be
dinleyicilerden
evaluated in the scope of
feedback
this
bekleyeceğimizi
product.
düşünüyorum.
Actually, I
Özellikle
guess
işte
it
Pqueen
provides a
kullanıcılarının
really good
loading
feedback,
hızını
and
mesela küçük bir
Pigman
detaya
is
takıldığında
really
altı böyle 4
successful at
yazması
this, and Florence also provides good
engellemesi
reactions
bence en
during the
geliştirici, en
games,
önemli
and
feedback'tir.
is one of the most important
Kesin
feedbacks
program
for a game developer. Yes, I agree.
O zaman bir soru daha alalım.
One more
Arkadaşlar,
question.
birlikte yaptığınız için teşekkür ederiz.
Hi
Peki
everyone, thank you
bir
very
oyunun
much.
süresi sizin için ne
The
kadar önemli? Bir
duration
game için
of
3 aydır,
a
6 aydır, 1
game,
sene boyunca
to
sizin
what
için
extent the
kaç saat
duration of a
harcanmalı?
game is
Dolayısıyla bir
important?
oyun
2
süresi
or
tamam
3
mı?
hours
Sizin
or
için ne
10
kadar
or
önemli?
12 hours? What do you think?
Ben kendi adıma dolu dolu zaten
For me, I
ve
prefer
daha
2
çok
or
vakit
3
geçirmeyi
hours. It will be more
Merhaba,
remembered.
ben gün boyu
I agree, for example,
yapmış
inside
olduğum
Limbo or Gliss,
şeyler aslında
these are
insanların
unforgettable. Actually, there were many things within a short period of time that are kept in your mind. So many good things are fit in a short
Meriç Bey,
duration. Yes,
alabilirsiniz şu
Meriç, the
anda.
floor is yours. Okay, briefly, I want to thank the audience and the ones who will watch us through YouTube. And actually, as one of the person of experience in this sector, I want to remind you something. There was a discussion last week, and for all people who were there, the game developers shall take one thing into consideration. all the publishers are loving the games and they are in game culture. Some games are liked, some are not. But I always see that they are really good intended people. They have good knowledge actually. So these people are trying to help you, support you despite their busy schedule. Therefore, from last week, the what should we take lessons? What lessons should we take is that the major publishers in Turkey spare their time for us. This is a luxury thing for us because believe me that there are not much examples in the world. I actually witnessed the Black Lizard influencer campaign, and major companies spend big budgets for this. Therefore, I really like to thank Ahmet, Tuna, Pelin, Can, who playing games uh, and who are in this culture. Now, I want to thank once again to Tuna and Pelin for being with us, for being in the way.
Söyleyebilir miyim acaba bu arada? Çok hızlıca bir soruyu cevaplamak istiyorum bu arada ben çünkü çok
I
gözüme
want to
takıldı.
answer one last question about the mobile phones.
Hani zaten canlı yayın yapıyorsunuz, oyunlar
We
oynuyorsunuz.
already know the PC console parts, but what about the mobile games? They ask. Actually, there are really good games in mobile, such as Visual Notes, which are not on PC, and I will start doing something about mobile games as well soon. If you want to develop something for mobile and if you have good ideas, please go ahead. Last words for Tuna.
Aa, estağfurullah abi. Ben de önümüzdeki
I like your
günlerde
voice, Tuna.
antrenmanlarımda
Yes,
da
thank you.
ben
By March,
çekim
actually, I want to provide my own spoiler.
oyunlarını oynadığım
And
çocuklar var.
there
Stüdyomda
are
da
indie
başlamak
developers
istiyorum.
actually whose games I play. I have started to promote our studios, and I will start with studio interviews with the indie developers. And one day we may do the interviews with you. And thank you very much for your attention. We hope that we could answer your questions. One day we will meet again and
Sevgiler olsun herkeslere.
come together.
Görüşürüz.
See you.
Çok